Hello and welcome to Immediate Immersion Live. How is everybody doing today? Love to hear about how your day is going in the chat. Today we're going to be talking about networking. And I'll tell you that when I started with Comprehensible Input way back when, it was my lifeline because I was the only one doing it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And my name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion Live, and we'll be right back after this short intro. And welcome back, everybody. I'm so glad you're with me today. If you have any questions or comments as we go along the way, please go ahead and put them in the chat box. If you're watching this on replay, go ahead and put them in the comments. I go back and check and answer all of them as we go along. So, welcome again. Today we're talking about networking. And why is it so important? Well, I don't know about you, but when I started in 2001 teaching with Comprehensible Input. I was the only one at my school doing it. I can't remember how many. We were a large school. We had 4,000 students at our high school. And I'm thinking we had 5 or 6 Spanish teachers. We had 2 Mandarin teachers, a French teacher, and a Japanese teacher. And I was the only one doing Comprehensible Input. So I was all by myself. But you may not be all by yourself in a team. You may be the only person at your school who teaches language, so you don't even have a team to work with. So there's lots of ways that we can be isolated. And as teachers, gone are the days where we can shut our door, do what we want, and work by ourselves. We need to work as a team. We need to collaborate, learn from each other. And so we need this networking to happen so that we can develop ourselves into better teachers, and we can help others with some things that we may have, our strengths, and others can help us with their strengths. So how do we do this if we are all by ourselves, whether within a department or all by ourselves at school? I know also you might teach in an isolated area, maybe a rural area where there are no other schools around you. There's lots of things that can cause us to be in isolation. And everything is better when you have a family, a team to work together. And there's lots of different ways we can combat this isolation. We kind of already started talking about it, but the importance of having a peer network. We can share lesson plans. We can share ideas. We can work together and carpool, like making assessments. We can take turns doing those types of things. We can look over each other's lesson plans and assessments and give suggestions or ideas. There's so many different ways that the collaboration and peer networks are so important to everything that we do. As I said, we can't live in isolation anymore. We need to learn from one another. One of the things that we do at my school, and this was not mandated by administration in any way, but we decided for us to be better teachers, we needed time to observe each other on a regular basis. So we commit to giving 15 minutes or more, but minimum 15 minutes twice a month from our prep periods to go and observe another teacher. So we have to observe twice a month. We don't do it the first or the last month because the first month is so hectic getting everything together, and the last month you're getting everything closed down. So it's only the 8 months in between, and we observe each other 16 times. We have a little checklist of things that we look for, things like what percentage of the class is in the target language, what does the teacher do to make the target language comprehensible, what does the teacher do to make students comfortable in class. Those 3 things are generally on all of our little forms that we fill out. And then we usually write something that we noticed or we saw that we really liked. There's no room for negative comments. We don't put anything negative on these. We just put positive, and we share it privately with the teacher. If that teacher wants to share it with anybody else, including administration, they are welcome to do so, but they are not required to do so. It's something private. Administration knows they can't use us to spy on another teacher in any way. This is all just for our benefit to improve our teaching. And so that has been something that's been very, very helpful in the past 10 years at my school that we have been doing. But I can't stress the importance of collaborating with each other. Our district mandates, we have a weekly PLC meeting, professional learning community, and I'm lucky that we have other teachers. We have 5 teachers at our school who teach world language that come together, share ideas, look at data, look at assessments, help each other become better. But I understand that not everybody has that. My school has 5 teachers. The other 3 middle schools only have 1 language teacher per school, so they don't have anybody to collaborate with on a regular basis. We come together as a district once or twice every 3 months to collaborate with each other, and all of the district teachers come together. So there are 8 of us total. And we're only a small district of middle and elementary schools. And I forgot the elementary school teachers. So there's 9 of us who collaborate together. So it is so important. Again, we can talk about lesson plans. We can talk about assessments. We can help each other. We can record each other's classes and then look at them and give pointers. All different types of things that we can do to become better teachers. We can't always get to workshops, or we can't get to conferences. They cost money, but we can learn from each other. I've often told this story that I learned from one of my fellow teachers a few years ago. We all do weekend talk, and I thought there's nothing I can possibly learn about weekend talk. We've been doing it all these years. It's the same thing, nothing new here. But I observed another teacher and how she did it in her classroom, and I loved the idea, and I incorporated it into what I do as well. One of the things that she did was on Fridays, she invited her students to take pictures of things that they did over the weekend, and then submit those pictures prior to coming into Monday's class. And then this teacher would select some of those pictures from each class and then would start the discussion with that student and show that picture at the same time. So there was a graphic element to the weekend talk, and it was fun because kids got to share a lot of what they were doing. I loved that idea and I stole it, and the only reason I know about it was because I observed her. We're in a PLC every week, but she didn't think it was so unique enough to share what she did. And then I even expanded it. We have something in California called independent study. When kids go on vacations in the middle of the school year, they have to complete work in order to get attendance credit and not get them as unexcused absences. And so what I would do is I have a gorro and a Billy La Bufanda scarf and hat from Senor Woolley, and I would send one of them with the student, and the student had to bring it with them on their trip, take pictures of it in different places, and then write a little synopsis of what was happening in the target language for that student. And the kids had fun with that, and that gave them an activity that they could actually do with it. And so it was kind of a fun thing, and it came from the idea of the pictures with the weekend talk. So I can't stress enough how important it is to get together with your peers so that you can learn from them and they can help you become a better teacher as you help them become a better teacher. Now, there's so many different places that you can do this. When I started back in 2001, there was something called YouTube groups. Is that what they were called? Not YouTube, sorry. Yahoo groups. And there was a Yahoo group way back when, and I even forgot what it was called. It's been so long. And everybody commuted on this Yahoo group. And it was funny because, I used to get the emails every day because you get an email. You had three choices of how to interact with this group because these were the old-fashioned email groups. They weren't like Facebook groups now. And so you could get every email. So every time someone sends a message in or a reply, you would get a notification in your email box. And I did that, but I filtered them so they would go into the Yahoo group folder, so I wouldn't have to see them every time. But that way I had them in case I wanted to refer back. 2, you can get a digest. And I can't remember if it was weekly or daily. You got a digest of all the emails, one email with a list of all of them in there. Or 3, you could choose not to receive any emails, and you'd have to go to the Yahoo group site, and then you could search through it. It wasn't great for searching, so that was not always the best way to do it. That's why I kept my emails coming through. But they'd always warn, at the beginning and end of school year, turn off email notifications if you have that, because you'd get hundreds of emails in a week because everybody's asking questions about the start of the school year. Well, Yahoo groups closed down, and in its place, there have become Facebook groups. And those are things that are really popular now, the Facebook groups. And the main group that I know that people are part of, and I'm going to get the link for it if you're not already a member. Bear with me a second while I get it to put it into the chat. It is the NTPRS/IFLT group. And why is it not showing up in my list here? Should have had them all pre-planned, but I didn't think that far ahead. So give me just a second while I search through mine. Let me just search. Is it going to be easier? IFLT. There it is. And let me go ahead and put the link in there for you. You can also just search for it if you prefer. But it's facebook.com/groups, IFL NTPRS teaching. You can go there, you can join that group, and there's a lot of information, and that is language agnostic. So you won't have, it's not specific to any language, though just by the nature of things, the majority of people in there are Spanish teachers because the majority of language teachers in the U.S. are Spanish teachers. But there are individual smaller groups. There are regional groups. There's a Southern California group. There is a tri-state, which is New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. There's a Hawaii group. There's a French group. So if you do searches for them, you can find the different ones. I'm not going to list all of them out there, but that's kind of taken the place of the Yahoo groups that are out there. So I highly recommend that you can join one of these. You can network. There's an international one called the Agen Workshop because there's an international CI conference every year in Agen, France. And so they have one there as well. There is a Turkey group for CI teachers in Turkey. So there's a lot of different groups. Do a search, but this is the main one. And even if you go to this main one and you want to look for local ones, you can even ask in here. What is, anybody have any ideas? I live in the Midwest. I live in the East Coast. I live in Europe. I live in Asia, wherever, and see if there's any groups or if there's specific groups for your particular language that you can join. There's a German group I know. I don't know if there's a specific Spanish group. I'm not aware of a specific Spanish one, but I know there's a French one. I know there's a German one. I'm sure there are other ones, but you can join in those groups, and there are lots of helpful people in there. You can ask questions, you can comment, you can just read and stand back and get ideas from other people as they post their ideas in there. So Facebook groups are the new Yahoo groups because those closed down, and they're very useful. And I think this group here has been around for the past 10 years or so after the Yahoo group closed down. So highly recommend that. But it's not the only thing that you can do. There are online PLC groups. So I know La Maestra Loca has one. I have one. Claudia, and I always forget her last name. Claudia, bear with me, I'll find it in just a second here. Claudia also has one. Claudia Elliott has one. Hers is just for Spanish teachers. Mine and La Maestra Loca's is for any language teacher. Tina Hargaden has one. So there's lots of different ones that are online PLCs that you pay a monthly fee for, and then you get that community in there. And that started with Ben Slavic many years ago, used to do one. That was a private one, and he started it way back when, the idea. The two most prolific ones that I know of are the Claudia and the La Maestra Loca ones. Those are the two that are most prolific, and you can get some really great ideas. I am part of La Maestra Loca's one. I have been invited to the events with Claudia, but I have not actually participated in Claudia's other than being invited to some of her events to present. So those are another option. Another option is in-person PLCs. Now, some of these kind of fell back after COVID. I know the one that we had in the Sacramento area, the Greater Sacramento TCI group that we had, kind of dismantled during COVID, partly because I was the co-founder with another teacher, and the other teacher retired during COVID, and then COVID happened, and our schools were giving us a lot of difficulty. Her school was allowing us to meet there. My school, where we sometimes met, we used to alternate every other week, wouldn't let us meet without getting $1 million insurance policy and all kinds of other things, and gave us a lot of hurdles to jump through. So it kind of fell apart. But there are a lot of those regional or local. I know Ohio has one, the Tri-States, again, Pennsylvania, New York and New Jersey have one. I know there is like the Coach down in Southern California. So there's a lot of these regional ones that meet in person on a relatively regular basis, where you can network with other teachers as well. When we did ours, we would always have like a theme that we were going to talk about that day, do some kind of demonstration, include our participants. We would do some brain breaks in there. We would communicate against problems, like what issues are you having and how can we help solve them, or if anybody has any ideas. And so we met once a month during the school year doing that until it dismantled. But that's another option, as I said, is getting together with the live people. So we kind of covered two of them in the same place, the platforms and the real world. If anybody has any other ideas on how they network with other teachers, that could be, you can also put it in the chat or in the comments. Another idea, when you go to conferences or workshops, network with each other. Lots of times the presenter will pass around a sheet so everybody can add their email to it, and then we share that out with everybody. So that allows you to network that way, get to know the people in your area or the people who teach your language, and you can network that way. If you take an online conference or an online workshop, lots of times there's a community built there, or discussion boards that are there. You can network there, find people who teach your language or teach in the same area. Those are the two big things that people look for. I like to have a wide variety. So I like to have my local people, but I also like to have my international people. So I like to network with those kind of people too, to get other ideas, because Europe may be doing something and it's really phenomenal the way that they do it. And then maybe Asia is doing something really neat there. And so having these networks across international lines is also great to get other perspectives other than your local one. So there are so many different things that you can do with networking and getting that support that you need to be successful in what you do. Because if you're all by yourself at your school, if you're in a rural school and all you are is you, yourself, and I, when you're in the classroom with that door shut, it can be a really lonely place. And if you're the only language teacher and you're teaching 3, 4, 5 sections of a language, that's a lot of work. But you can help each other out by joining into these communities and networking and finding your people that you can work with. Coaching programs are another idea. There are a lot of coaching programs out there. I know Bryce Hedstrom has a coaching program. Tina Hargaden has a coaching program that you can join that also gives you some support that you need. And that's more of a one-on-one or maybe one to small group area to do that. I'll give you another idea, and it's kind of a non-traditional idea, and that is joining a class. Like I have taken the advanced Spanish class with Adriana Ramirez in Vancouver. She is a Colombian, and she teaches in Vancouver Spanish. And I learned tons of Spanish from her, but that's not the point that I take it. She demonstrates how she teaches novels. And so I'm getting 2 pieces of information there. I'm getting mentored, not really like individually mentored, but through example, through modeling, because we're reading a novel together and she's doing what she does with her classes with that novel, introducing music and culture and language and all kinds of things. Plus we're having the discussions in Spanish, so the advanced Spanish is there as well. So I'm getting twofold there, even though my goal was not to learn more Spanish, though I'm always wanting to learn more Spanish or whatever language it is. But my goal there was to see how she taught novels. So taking classes in languages that you need to learn, I take a French class as well, that you can see how you get other ideas through modeling by doing that. So that's another options. Now, the obstacles to this. Everybody has the 2 biggest problems in teaching: time and money. So a lot of these things are inexpensive. The Facebook groups are free. La Maestra Loca and Claudia Elliott's and my PLC groups are relatively inexpensive, but they are a monthly fee. And then if you have to go bigger than that, like to workshops or those kinds of things, that's where stuff gets a little bit more pricey. But you can also start your own group. If you are in a local area, that's what we did. There was a San Francisco group for us, but San Francisco, on the map it's 2 hours away, but depending on traffic, it could be 3 or 4 hours away in each direction. That's a big drive to go for an hour PLC meeting. So that's why we came up with one that was local to us. So you can always create one for your area as well. But because you have the online and inexpensive ways, there's really no reason to not be able to just jump in and get started, at least small. Dip your toes in the water, see what it's like, learn from each other, and then slowly grow. Take online workshops, which are less expensive because you don't have to do transportation or lodging in there. And then you can expand to maybe in-person workshops or summer conferences that happen and to network. I can't recommend enough the nationwide conferences. The new one that just came out, the CI Summit, is awesome. The IFLT one, which it's taken over by something publishing, Wave something publishing. I forgot the name. I'm horrible with names, so I apologize. But they bought that out, and I don't know what they call their workshop. It used to be called IFLT, and it wasn't called that this summer. And then if you want, pair up a trip to Europe with it and go to Agen and join the Agen workshop, which is a week of wonderful learning. You have people from all over the world coming together. The conversations are awesome and they're happening in multiple languages simultaneously, not just in English, which is awesome. You get to meet people from everywhere, and Agen is a perfect place to meet. It's about an hour from Toulouse on the train. It's about 3 hours from Paris on the train. It's a suburb of Toulouse. And it's a small enough city you can go from the train station and walk to your hotel or Airbnb. And it's a completely walkable city. You do not need a car. You do not need Uber. I don't even think there are Ubers there, but there may be. I've never used one. You can walk everywhere. The conference is held at a school, which is just walking distance from the main hotel that everybody stays at. All the restaurants are local and great. One of the best things they do, they follow the French tradition and they have 2-hour lunches. So we break in the morning. There's language classes in the morning, and then everything breaks for 2 hours for lunch, and then the workshops are in the afternoon, which is better because the heat comes down. The school is not air conditioned, but those 2-hour lunches, a typical French lunch, because you can't get it done in 30 minutes in France. There's just no way. It's not an American thing. Even going to McDonald's takes longer than 30 minutes. But we have these great conversations with people of all different ideas and cultures, and it's just amazing. I have met so many great people from the Agen conference. So I know this is a short one today. There wasn't a lot to talk about, just giving you those ideas of the different ways. We all know that many of us are isolated. We know the importance of needing to work together, and there are those online possibilities, and then there's in-person possibilities, and you can always make your own in-person possibility and get that started if you want as well. And then the time and the money are the things. As I said, there's a lot of ones that are free out there. So take advantage of those to get started with and make the time, because it is your career and your life will get easier if you make this time. Invest a little bit of time and you're going to get so much back in return. I can't tell you all the different brain breaks, all the different games, all different activities, different ways of doing things I have learned from being parts of all of these groups over the past 20 or so years. So if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and put them in the comments or chat. And again, if you're watching this on the replay, please feel free to put that there as well. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe and share it with fellow teachers to get the idea out so that we can have more people participating with us. Next week, we are going to be talking about same time, same channel, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern on Monday. We are going to be talking about the immersive environment of your classroom, so we'll be talking about that. And if you haven't already and you are interested in delving deep into assessment, grading, and proficiency-based grading, we have our Assessment Academy. We just completed our 5th class, but they're all recorded, so you can go back and watch any of them that you'd like and register for just $97. You get 10 classes plus an 11th bonus class. That's less than $10 per class. I think it's even less than $9 per class. And we had a great discussion last week, or it was yesterday, on writing assessments. Next week, we're talking about speaking assessments. So if it's something you're interested in, please join us at mm.us/academy. You will have access to all of the recordings through the end of next year, 2024. So you can revisit, watch, and learn from those. And so if nobody has any questions or comments, thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you next week. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Everybody, have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.